these guys have been really amazing and sent us something that we're needing for our bus. I mean, check this out. See, our old steering wheel is completely and utterly munted, and we really needed a new one. So these guys have been absolutely fantastic and given us a new steering wheel for our bus. The reason that I like this steering wheel, as you'll see in a minute, is I think it goes really well with an older bus. Predominantly these guys actually do like modified cars stuff, but if you have a look on their website, which I'll put below now, check them out. They've got quite a wide range of steering wheels and all sorts of stuff, and it just seemed really appropriate for our bus to get what is in this box. So let's open it up and have a look. Real mahogany. Isn't she gorgeous? I think that will look really nice in our bus, being an older bus, or any bus to be honest, or car. So it comes with your steering wheel, your Allen key for attaching it, and your horn attachments. So we just need to get the right Boss kit for our steering column. I'm hoping that it's not going to be too much of a challenge because our steering column is old. I'm sure there'll be something out there that'll fit it, and then this just literally bolts straight onto your Boss kit. You can attach your horn if you want to. We have a different horn in our bus, so it's not so important. So very exciting. Now we've just got to wait to find the right Boss kit, and then we will get it in the bus. So thanks guys, the steering wheel is completely awesome. Thank you so much for it, and I just think it's going to look gorgeous. Rightio, so when we got this bus, it actually came with, because it was already kitted out for a single bloke in the 70s and 80s, there was already a 200 litre tank sitting in the bus, which we had to drop out when we took the floor out because it was bolted up through the floor with great big honking big nuts sticking up through the floor that you sort of tripped over, and that worked fine for how the bus was set up before, but not ideal when you want to build a kitchen over it and a few other bits and pieces. So we dropped the tank down. The thing is, now I've had to hoist the tank back up. As you can see, I've been my invention for hoisting up tanks without putting too much energy on myself. So I've hoisted it up, but what we've done is we've had to make a base to go under the tank. So as I said before, we had great big bolts coming up through the floor holding the grey water tank in. So I have, don't laugh too hard please, put together a platform to go under the tank because it's an aluminium tank, and once you've got 200 litres of water in there, it puts a lot of pressure on the bottom. So I've just taken the old supports off and run them along the side of a sort of a strong piece of ply, and I've put the steel strapping, so the steel strapping literally feeds right underneath and up, which I've bolted to the bottom, and then this will come up the side of the tanks and we'll fit it onto the framing underneath the bus. As I said, I was going to try and plumb the underneath of our bus before putting the floor in, but it's just not working out that way, and that's okay. It just means it's going to be a little bit trickier, but once we've got the floor in, once we get to the plumbing, I'll go through all the detail of how to plumb a bus, which I have done once before completely by hand and swore I'll never do it again. So again, yay for power tools and stuff like that. Handy tip when putting your water tanks into your bus, the only reason we're using the square one for our grey water is because it was already in the bus. You can go out and buy tanks, and the cheapest place, I think I've mentioned it on one of my old videos when we were putting our toilet in, is Kiwi Tanks. In New Zealand they seem to have the best prices. However, if you're working on a budget, because we're going to try and build this whole bus for under 20,000, that includes purchasing the bus. So we've got a real challenge on to do that, but what we can do and what we're going to do for the rest of our water tanks is simply go to somewhere like RD1 or go and talk to a nice farmer somewhere, and you can use those round water tanks. They're food grade plastic, and normally what they've had in them, most of them, is a product that they just give to cows for mastitis. So the good thing you'll know is that you'll never get mastitis if you use them for your water tanks. But the wonderful thing about it, you just give them a really, really good washout. Is number one, they're food grade, and number two, they're usually free. I think sometimes RD1 might charge 20 bucks for one. So it certainly works out a lot better. There you go, that's our support that's going under the tank. So I haven't attached it to the top yet, so I'll remove the ropes, but just simply jacking it up to the position it's supposed to be in. And then we'll attach the steel strapping to the framing above, steel framing. No holes allowed in the chassis, people, just for a side note. So we won't be drilling any holes in our chassis. Unfortunately, I was kind of hoping that we might have some in there that we could use, but we don't want to start having to certify things if possible. Floor in the... what is that? Floor? Oh no, character floor. A floor in the character. So, as you can see, we have a floor, which is absolutely fantastic. The thing is, we brought a recommended product for going between, what is it? No More Gaps?
Sally's No More Gaps for timber flooring. I don't recommend it.
It doesn't seem to, well, I suppose it's designed to flex a bit, which is good. But as most of us know, bus floors or buses in general are not entirely straight. So we've had to put the flooring in pieces, which is fine. The good news is all those little extra bits we've popped in are bits that are going to be like underneath benches or underneath cabinets or cupboards. But this No More Gap stuff, kind of when we've gone started, which we have started, staining the floor, it kind of really shows up. So it pays to probably really check what products you're combining.
It is sandable and stainable.
Yeah.
Apparently.
It is sandable and stainable.
It doesn't sand very well at all. Just don't use it. Like seriously, it doesn't sand because it goes real rubbery. So you just want to put on like no more than you have to, not like bog where you can sand it off. You just can't sand this off.
So yeah, some good advice there. So we started staining, so we're just going to look at the joins and our wonderful gap filler as added character to the bus. But at least it's nice to actually have a floor in now that we can walk around on. I was getting really fed up with having to balance on the floor beams. So that makes a huge difference. Very, very exciting. The thing is, we'll probably get a break for a couple of days now because of, how long does the...
Like 24 hours at least.
Oh, is it 24 hours at least?
Oh.
To cure the what's it called? Stain.
Yeah, something like that.
So we've got to stain it first, then we have to allow that to cure, and then we're varnishing with polyurethane.
Oil based. So we'll do probably 2 or 3 coats of that.
And that takes how long to dry?
At least a day between each of those.
So that's another 3-day break for me. Looks like chocolate sauce you could put on ice cream. Rightio, so we're on to our second coat of varnish after staining the wood. And we are using, what kind of varnish are we using? It's a oil-based marine varnish. And probably a bit of overkill for inside. Here we go. But because we're going to be parking on beaches and stuff like that, the kids are going to be running in and out with sandy, dirty feet, and it's going to get quite hammering. So, what is it? It says a minimum of 3 layers, and each layer takes 24 hours to dry. So this is layer number 2. We'll give it another 24 hours and do layer 3, and then we'll see and decide whether we're going to do layer number 4, eh, Cindy?
Yay!
You're having so much fun.
So good.
So yeah, so that's going to be our floor, and that way, the reason we've decided to do this, because we were offered the possibility of some tongue and groove, which would have been really nice. The thing is, being the bus it is, the roof is a little bit lower than a lot of buses. So number one, by the time we've put this down, the floor we've got, and then put some insulation or a bit of bounce, and then put the tongue and groove in, I'll probably be hitting my head on the roof just about. And the other thing too is that we're trying to stay under a certain weight in this build, because we want to be able to continue to drive this on a car license. And once we start putting extra flooring in, it does actually add to the weight of the bus. And there goes Pepper.
Grab it. There is sandpaper blowing across my newly varnished floor because the wind has just picked up. I just chucked a bit of polyurethane on the edge of the plywood, and look how beautiful it comes up with the dark and the light and the medium browns in there. I've just decided that I want my bench top to be made out of like the ends of plywood. Now I just have to go and tell Phil and see if he can figure out how to make one.
It's such a nice day. We've had so much rain lately, and we've finally got this nice sunny day. I feel like now, you know, we should be parked on a beach reading a good book or something. Not actually building, but you know, that day will come. Right, I think that's me done for another day. Always good to clean your tools up when you're finished. And I think it might be time for a nice quiet gin and tonic.